Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one, we are going to have a look at another collaboration beer. So this one is half German on the home side, half Swedish on the away side. Both of the breweries involved in this one have featured on the channel before, albeit the Swedish brewery far more frequently just because of what I have access to. But I've had nice beers from both of them in the past, and I have to say I'm very curious to see what happens when they put their heads together. This particular beer is a style that I've been really enjoying again over the last kind of 2 years or so. And I think for a long time these styles of beers have been unappreciated, or underappreciated we should say, but it seems that that's starting to change a little bit, so long may that continue. But yeah, curious to see how this beer turns out. Fingers crossed it's another good one, and I hope that you guys enjoy my take on it as well. So yeah, for the home side of things then, as I said, we are going to go down to Germany. To be specific, we're going to go to a little place called Seeon-Seebruck in Traunstein County in Bayern, Bavaria in the southeast. It's almost right in the southeast corner of Bavaria in fact. And we're going to have a look at another beer from Camba Bavaria, and this is review number 3 or so from these guys here on the channel, if memory serves me correctly. But this particular beer is called Der Schwedische Lehrling, or the Swedish Apprentice, if you want to translate it into English. It comes in at 5.2% ABV. It's a Munich-style Helles beer, a light lager essentially, and it's brewed in collaboration with Omnipollo, who are from Stockholm here in Sweden. They started out their life, of course, as a gypsy brewery, but they've now settled and it's Sundbyberg to the northwest of the city centre. But yeah, really curious about this one. This is only the second lager beer that I've had from Omnipollo. The other one was a collaboration that they did with OO Brewing from Gothenburg. That was called the Lucy Helles. And when it comes to Camba Bavaria, like I say, I think this is my 3rd review from these guys, but the last beer I had was the Black Shark, and that was a lovely, lovely black IPA. Camba, from what I remember, do a lot of American style beers, but also a lot of German traditional things, and they do some really nice stuff actually. I do hope I can get some more of their beers at some point in the future, but it's not often that you see them up here in Sweden. So if you've got any German web shops that you could recommend that hold Camba along with a few other ones, I'd be really curious about those especially. If they deliver to Sweden, of course. But yeah, this one I think should be a really interesting beer. It was released as part of the Tillfällig Sortiment on the 1st of June 2021 through Systembolaget here in Sweden. So yeah, let's see how we get on with this one then. As always with my reviews, I'll tell you a little bit about the breweries involved here before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the video description below. That's the brewery websites, the link to my other reviews that I've done, both from Camba Bavaria and from Omnipollo, and there will no doubt be more added to those lists at some point in the near future. But there's all the usual social media down there. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, province, prefecture, whatever it is you happen to be interested in. Do check out the playlists of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beers I've reviewed for you, and another one for all the German beers. This beer will appear in both of those, of course, because it is dual nationality. And as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Camba Bavaria first off then, since these guys are the home brewery. So Camba Bavaria was founded by Marcus Lohner back in 2008, who owned a company called Brauverlagen, and they design equipment and you know, build up craft breweries essentially. But he has a long career as an engineer behind him, and he's also a self-taught brewer, and he founded Camba Bavaria basically as a small brewery and guest house in Trüchlachting in Seeon-Seebruck in Traunstein County in southeastern Bavaria. But the brewery became very popular very quickly, and so Marcus appointed Götz Steindl as the boss of the brewery, and then the beer sommeliers Daniela Hartl and Hubert Unterweger to take over the management of the Gaststätte. But they introduced things like beer workshops and tasting events, and this only increased the popularity of the brewery further and kind of spread the name across the whole state, if you like. But the original brewery and Gaststätte is located in near the Chiemsee, which is supposed to be very, very picturesque. I do want to go down and check out that kind of southeastern part of Bavaria, have a look at Berchtesgaden and all of these kind of things. I think that would be pretty awesome to go down there and have a look. It's supposed to be lovely, as I say, but Bavaria, generally speaking, is very, very nice. But as I say, this brewery continued to build up their capacity and things over the years. In 2015, they opened the Camba Old factory, and then in 2016, they started building a new brewery with a 40 hectolitre capacity just a few kilometres away in Seeon. But Camba Bavaria also founded the Tap House bar in Munich, which has about 200 different beers, and you'll find that next to the Ostbahnhof. I was actually there maybe about 3 years ago, something like that, when I was down in Munich. My cousin and I were in there, and that was really nice, but I didn't realise at the time that was one of Camba Bavaria's places, actually. I had no idea when I was in there. But the name of this brewery is quite interesting. Camba comes from the Old Latin word, and this refers to the baking and brewing facilities that there used to be in monasteries, and it also means brew kettle in the old Celtic languages. And Truchlachting apparently was established in about 500 BC as a Celtic settlement. If you read into the kind of Central Europe and the Switzerland and things like that, the Helvetians were Celtic, of course. So the whole Celtic culture is spread all across Europe. It's not simply in Scotland and Ireland and Wales and things like that, as many kind of seem to believe these days. It used to be a lot further spread than that, actually. But as of June 2021, when I'm filming this review for you, these guys have produced around 150 different beers, and as I mentioned earlier, they tend to produce a mixture of both American style craft beers and the traditional German things, and the things that I've had from them in the past have been very, very good. So definitely a German brewery that you want to check out if you get the chance, and fingers crossed I can find a way to get a hold of some more of their beers at some point in the fairly near future. But yeah, that's all I can really tell you about Camba Bavaria for the moment. If you want to learn more about these guys, you can check out the brewery website, follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on, and you can check out the Rate Beer, Untappd and Beer Advocate pages to learn a little bit more about all the different beers that these guys have done. So yeah, let's crack on then and move to the Swedish side of things. So Omnipollo. So Omnipollo, as I've mentioned to you already, are based in Stockholm, and the company was founded back in 2011 by Henrik Fente, a long-time homebrewer, and Carl Grandin, who was a clothing designer. So they decided to start a brewery together after they had kind of discussed how insular the craft beer scene in Sweden was, and further afield as well. And they said that they wanted to kind of reinvigorate it from both a stylistic and a gastronomic sense. And I think it's fair to say they have done that, actually. They've got a very distinctive style of artwork on their labels, and their beers that they do, the adjunct forward beers and things that they do, are pretty well known these days. They thought this partnership between them, a home brewer and a clothing designer, was very logical. So the name Omnipollo is derived from omnipotent chicken, so Omnipollo, pollo being Spanish for chicken, of course, and these guys were gypsy brewers until 2020. So they opened the Omnipollo's hat in Stockholm as a collaboration with Pizza Hut, and this became quite popular in the city. There's lots of Omnipollo beers there that you won't find in other places other than their brewery, I guess, and there's some really great pizza there as well. I do want to go and film an out and about video at that place at some point soon. But in 2019 they also opened up a second bar in Hamburg down in Germany. That's probably why this collaboration came to fruition, and they've also opened up a bar in Tokyo in Japan as well, which I'll need to go and check out when I make it over there again. But in March of 2020 they announced that they were going to open their own brewery at Sundbyberg, to the northwest of the central part of Stockholm, and this is in a former church which had previously housed Sundbyberg's Sjuksbryggeri. But apparently the current brewing capacity in that brewery is around 100,000 litres per year, and this is going to be scaled up to around 600,000 litres per year over the next little while. I'm not sure how far into that progress they are. I'll need to have a little look at beernews.se and see if there's been any more reports on that, but I know they have been producing a few things out of that church brewery, if you like. But as of June 2021, when I'm producing this this review for you, these guys have produced around 370 different kinds of beer according to Untappd, and like I said to you, this brewery are known for quite a few different things. They're known mainly, I guess you could say, for their big cakey imperial stouts that they do lots of flavour essence and things put into those as adjuncts, of course, and other ingredients, and they've got their big kind of fruity juicy sour things that they do as well. The lassie beers are also very well known. But yeah, when it comes to making pure beers, they tend to do them very well. I do like some of the just the straight up New England IPAs that the Omnipollo do, and I think they're brewing quite a few of those at Toyo City over in Sjælland in Denmark. But they've been known to brew beer in quite a few different places. Quite a few things are brewed at the Proefbrouwerij in Lochristenhoofd near Ghent in Belgium. Quite a few of the imperial stouts are brewed at Dugges Brewery in Landvetter, just outside of Gothenburg, as I say, the ones at Toul, and I think they've brewed a few. I think they've been known to brew a good few beers at Buxton Brewery in England, but I'm not sure if that's still going on after the whole kind of Brexit thing, if you like. So yeah, not sure about their activities with Buxton, but yeah, definitely Dugas, the Prof Brewery, and the Toul City. Those are definitely three of the places where Omnipollo are brewing their beers. But definitely a Swedish brewery you want to check out if you haven't already. I would recommend the Noah Pecan Mud Pie, and the Nebuchadnezzar is a lovely West Coast IPA, and Fata Morgana is a really good New England one if you get the chance to have a look at those. But yeah, again, that's all I can really tell you at the moment. If you want to learn more, check out the brewery website. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on, and you can check out the Rate Beer, Untappd and Beer Advocate pages to learn more about all those different beers that they've done. In the meantime, let's get cracking and have a look at this beer itself then. So as you can see, the artwork on this one is a little bit more centred towards Omnipollo, of course. This will be Carl Grandin's handiwork, I would think. And there you can see it's on the top label as well, which looks really good. You can see Camba Bavaria on the top of this one. This beer was, I think this one cost me about 25 Swedish krona. So in the region of €2.50 for it. I guess, so yeah, €2.50, and I guess that translates to roughly about £2 sterling, maybe about $3 American for this bottle. But a half-litre bottle, which you need for a lager beer, I would say, and as I told you earlier, a 5.2% Helles or light lager beer. So yeah, let's get this guy out and we'll get on with the tasting then. Really curious about this, as I say. So, as I've told you in previous videos, when it comes to lager beers, the definition of a lager beer is bottom fermenting yeast or cold fermentation. Usually these beers ferment between about 8 to 12 degrees Celsius, if memory serves me correctly. But yeah, you get quite a few different types of lager beers. You've got the German lagers, of course, the Czech lagers, the Vienna lagers. But yeah, usually the Czech ones, generally speaking, tend to be a little bit more kind of bready and yeasty, whereas the German variants tend to be a little bit more kind of crisp and dry, if you like. So yeah, you've got the Helles lager in Germany and the Svetli in the Czech Republic, just before the head disappears on this one. You can see it's got a bit of a nice, poured with just under a finger of a frothy, I would say perfect white head there. It looks very, very nice, but yeah, that's going to fade away quite quickly, I would think. But this beer's straight out of the fridge, so maybe it needs just to warm up a little bit. But yeah, as I say, between the German and Czech variants, you've got the Helles, like this one, which is the light blonde lager, known as the Svetli in the Czech Republic. You have the amber lagers, usually, like the sort of, the Merzens or the Box. And that kind of would correspond to the Czech Letsak. You've got the Dunkel, which is the mahogany coloured one. And that's known as the Cherny in the Czech Republic. And then you've got the Schwarzbier with the black lager, which would be the Tmavi in the Czech Republic. And of course you've got Doppelbox from Germany as well. You've got the Vienna lager from Austria. So yeah, lots of different lager styles to have a look at. And it's worth having a go at these. They're very nice and very just crisp, refreshing and drinkable beers. The other thing to point out is that you've got the Pilsner. The Pilsner, of course, is also a lager beer. And then when it comes to Helles lagers in particular, you've got the Munich Helles, which tends to be a bit more bready, and you've also got the Dortmunder Helles, which tends to be a little bit more hoppy in my experience. You've also got the Franconian lagers, like the Zwickels and I forget the name of the other one as well, but you've got the land, the Zwickels, the land beers, and all of these kind of things too. There's lots of little regional lager beers all across Germany that you'll come across. So yeah, lots of interesting stuff when it comes to lager beers. As I say, a very underappreciated beer style. But as we said, when this beer poured, it had about, just under a finger of a frothy white head. That's faded away now, as you can see. The beer has a lovely kind of pale straw golden colour. It's got a little bit of natural haze to it, but for the most part it is quite transparent, this one. But one or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, a few little ones going up towards the bottom of the head there. But I mean, it does look very nice and kind of what you would expect. It does look like what you would expect of a lager beer, actually. So yeah, nothing surprising about this one in terms of its appearance when you consider what style it is. Exactly what you would expect from a nice kind of Munich lager. And as I've told you in previous reviews, what I expect from these beers is authenticity. This is what I look for in these ones. How close are they to the likes of the Augustiner lager beer, you know, the Hofbräu, all of these kind of things. That's what I'm looking for when it comes to these. But let's take a closer look at the aroma of this one and see how we get on. Nothing surprising about the appearance of this beer when you consider what style it is. Yeah, this one, that's really, really authentic. It smells straight away. It's straight away like a Munich lager beer, this one, but when Camba Bavaria are involved, you know, to be honest, you wouldn't expect anything less from these guys. They're a brewery that really know what they're doing in my experience. I've only tried 2 or 3 of their beers, but you know, they've got a good reputation, and based on what I've had, it is for a reason. But yeah, aroma, that is lovely. Straight away with this one, on the nose, you get that lovely soft white bready quality coming out of it. There's a little bit of bread crust in there, but it works really, really nicely actually. So yeah, the thing you'll notice about Munich malts, Munich malts just have this lovely softness, and they come across like a very fresh white bread, and you can smell that right away in this beer. I think this one has got a little bit of a straight up kind of Munich type malt to it. But yeah, there's 1 or 2 little biscuity notes in this one, a wee bit of a sweet McVitie's digestive biscuity sort of thing. I think it just works very, very well. Yeah. This is kind of everything you would expect from the Helles. You would expect it to have a nice big kind of bready component to it. It gives you that lovely freshness. You can smell the sort of almost a little bit of a crisp white bread to it. I do miss that about living in Germany. The bakeries that you got in Germany were just fantastic. Loved those. But yeah, there's you know, there's a lot of just that lovely big fluffy and still quite crisp fresh white bread, a bit of bread crust in there, a bit of McVitie's digestive biscuity note in it. I do wonder if there might be a little bit of Pilsner malt in this. You can smell just a wee touch of an almost Pilsnery malt type quality in this one. But yeah, it comes across very, very authentic in the malt base, and that's exactly, as I say, what you would expect from Camba Bavaria and from this style, the big bready notes. On the hoppy side of things, again, it's kind of what you would expect. I suspect they're probably using, you know, the likes of probably Hallertau hops in this one. I don't know if they would use something a little bit stronger than the regular Hallertau. The normal ones tend to be about 4.5% alpha acid, but then you've got the likes of Pearl and Hercules, and there's other ones in there, so like Sapphire and things like this. But this one I think might just be, it doesn't quite smell, you know, spicy enough to be something like Hercules or Pearl or whatever. It does smell a little bit more just kind of nice, light and easy going. So you get a little bit of soft earthiness out of this one. The German hops for me have always been very kind of quite bright, but at the same time still quite smooth. So you get a nice kind of bright floral aromatic quality of this one, a little bit of a lighter grassy quality, and then on the fruity side of things, I would say, you know, you've got a little bit. On the fruity side of things, you have a little bit of a, how would you say? Yeah, a little bit of a kind of peary, appley sort of thing, which I think works great. Yeah, a little bit of a peary, appley sort of thing. Maybe a wee touch of apricot or something like that. But yeah, that just mixes in with the light sort of grassy note that this beer has. But I think it's I think it goes together really well in terms of the aroma. Very, very authentic, and as I mentioned earlier, that's exactly what I look for in these German Helles beers. So yeah, I think it's about time that we take a taste of this one then. So this one is Der Schwedische Lehrling, the Swedish Apprentice, coming in at 5.2% ABV, a Munich style Helles beer brewed at Camba Bavaria in Seeon-Seebruck near the Chiemsee in southeastern Bavaria in collaboration with Omnipollo from Stockholm here in Sweden. Let's get stuck into this one. Slange, skål, cheers. Yeah. Very straight shooting beer, this one. Gives you exactly what you would want from a Munich Helles beer. Just going to say thumbs up to both breweries involved in this one. As I've said before, I think these German lagers, Czech ones as well, and incidentally, I think these are really underappreciated, to be quite honest with you. I think it's you know, everyone's always been about the IPAs recent times, but these German lager beers, these are a bit more technically demanding for brewers as well. So, you know, if you want to know whether a brewer really is talented, it's a lager beer, it's a good, you know, Munich Helles or a Pilsner that you want to find from a brewery, and that'll tell you how good a brewery is. And this one is really damn solid actually. So not surprised when you consider the two breweries involved in this one, but yeah, this one gives me everything that I would want from a Munich Helles, and I'm picky with this beer style. And it makes me, it's one thing, you know, in Germany you can get these beers for like €1. You can get this kind of beer, you can get the Augustiner lager beer for like €1 or something like this. It's just mental. It's absolutely crazy. I've always been jealous of the Germans for that. But yeah, let's try and break down the flavour of this beer for you and explain it a little bit more. So yeah, again with this beer, as you should get straight away with this one, you can feel that nice bready base in the middle of your palate. So straight away with this one, that just blankets the middle of your tongue, and it's got a nice balance to it. It's you can feel there's a little bit of crispness underneath, and I do wonder if there is a wee touch of Pilsner malt in here. So you can feel one or two little grainy, sort of crackery things sitting underneath this one, a little bit like a Jacob's kind of cream cracker or something. But then sitting on top of that, we're talking about middle third of your palate incidentally, sitting on top of that you get the nice soft, you get that nice soft white bready quality coming out of it, which I think is great. But yeah, you can feel the more that you drink of this one, it feels like the bready character kind of moistens up a little bit, which I really like, and that's lovely. Again, it's the bready notes that come out of this beer, I think, are just lovely, and you can feel it kind of. The other thing you'll notice with the bready notes in this beer is that they do kind of get a little bit more kind of fluffy the further you go into it. So as I say, Jacob's cream cracker sitting underneath, a bit of a kind of white bready note kind of sitting on top of it, and yeah, I think it just goes together really nicely. If you go to either end of that middle third of your palate, you start to get a wee bit of a kind of bread crusty element out of this one too, which is great. But then it's these beers, as I say, they're very straight shooting, but if they're done right, they're lovely, and this one has it spot on. Kind of wish I bought a couple of these now, to be honest. I maybe need to go back to Systembolaget and raid a few, because I miss these kind of beers for sure. But yeah, the way that goes together, I think, is very solid. So on the back half of that, middle third of your tongue, if you follow the line back, I think there's a wee tiny touch of a Pilsner malt in there. You just feel that sort of crispiness of Pilsner malt in there, which I certainly like. But then in the very centre of your palate, you can feel there's a nice kind of oily, there's a very nice kind of slightly oily biscuity note out of this one. It's like a McVitie's digestive note, and as you move further out towards the edges of the palate there, I think as you move out towards the edges of the palate there, I think you get a little bit more of a kind of grainy, you get a little bit more of that kind of McVitie's digestive grainy biscuity sort of thing. So yeah, it works again, it works very, very well. But yeah, the way that goes together is it's really nice. You get that soft white bready character in there, and it's got a real crisp, as I say, there's a wee bit of crispness to it the further you go into the aftertaste. Then you've got that lovely just oily biscuity note in the middle, then the kind of more crispy biscuit as you move out towards the extremities of the palate there. So I really like how I do really like how that goes together in this beer. It's got the exact things that you would want from the malt base of a Munich Helles beer. So well done to both breweries involved there. On the border region then, that's the middle third of your palate. Let's move on to the back third of your palate. So border region between middle third and back third of your palate. Again, you get a wee bit of a kind of bready build up on this one. You can feel it's a little bit thicker there. There's a wee bit of bread crust sitting in on top, and then the base of that back third of your palate, it's a little bit more of a kind of crackery sort of note you get under that. Again, a smooth kind of white bread. It gets a little bit thicker and more fluffy, if you like. And then, as I say, on top of that, you can feel there's a wee bit of a more kind of bread crusty grainy sort of thing. Sitting on top of that, but you can feel on top of all of that you've got a wee bit of the yeasty quality. So the back of your palate you can feel more of the yeasty elements, the yeast, the kind of more, pardon me, airy yeasty qualities just sit on top of that, which I think is great. But then on the how do you say, sitting on top of that, you just get, you know, you can feel that at the back of the beer, the sort of height of the flavour is kind of like that. It condenses down a wee bit. It condenses down a wee bit as you go further forward, and then in the middle third of your palate, you can feel it's a little bit more, you know, it condenses down a wee bit, and those flavours are a little bit more squashed together, and I think that works really, really nicely. So yeah, the way that the beer deals with its malt base, I think, is spot on, and again exactly what you'd expect of a Helles lager. So on the hoppy side of things then, in the back corners of the palate you've got a nice little bit of a smooth earthiness in there. As you move further forward it gives you a wee touch of herbal quality, and as you get progressively further forward towards the front corners of your palate, it's definitely a wee bit more of a kind of floral aromatic note that you get out of this one. You do get that, but then round the front curve of the palate it's distinctly lighter and kind of grassier in a sense, and there's a wee touch of citrusy zest in there as well. So yeah, just bear that in mind when you're having a look at this beer. It's got the typical kind of Hallertau type hop qualities to our German noble hops, I guess we could say. I couldn't tell you offhand whether this one is, you know, a straight up Hallertau or whether it's something like Pearl or Hercules that's got a little bit more alfast into it. I honestly couldn't tell you from this straight off, but yeah, it's got the green component of this one is very nice, and that sort of adds to the crispness of the beer. But yeah, on the, you know, on the fruity side of things then, as I always say, on the front third of your palate, that's where you get that nice oily bubble where those juicy fruity esters roll their way out of the beer. But backbone of that front third of your palate, again, you've got a wee bit of that soft kind of white bread. You know, there's a wee bit of that kind of Jacob's cream cracker thing underneath, but on the borderline between the front third and middle third of your palate, there's a nice kind of breadier build up and a bit of bread crust in there. So, you know, you can feel that kind of straight away. So yeah, the backbone of this one, as I say, that's just smooth white bread, bit of cracker, and then you've got a nice kind of bready doughy thing. It's the breadiness I always like about these kind of more Munich leaning lagers. Remember, the Dortmunder Helles is a bit more kind of the Dortmunder Helles is a little bit more kind of hoppy and things, but the fruity side out of this beer is really nice. Towards the back of that front third of your palate, yeah, there's a wee touch of like a slightly, you know, apricot-y flavour or something like this, but there's a lot of pear in this one for me, and you get a wee touch of a kind of spicy apple sort of thing, I would say, as you move further forward, and there's a wee bit of lemon limey note just as you reach the kind of front tip of the tongue. You know, just behind the kind of grassy esters there from the hops as well. But overall, in terms of flavour profile, if you know this style, it doesn't do anything surprising, but it's a very nice beer, and it gives you an authentic take on the Munich Helles lager, and that is what I would look for in this one. So thumbs up to both Omnipollo and Camba Bavaria in this one. They've done a great beer here, but you know, considering that Camba Bavaria is involved in this, I'm not surprised that this one has worked out really nicely. And you know, as I've said before, Omnipollo, when they try their hand at like pure beers and things like this, they always tend to go really well. So I hope that you know, I hope that this, as the name suggests, I hope this is Omnipollo wanting to have a go at doing some more lager beers. I don't know how many they've done over the years, but I've certainly only had one from them. As I said earlier, that Lucy Helles collaboration with OO Brewing. But hopefully they do like Dunkels and Doppelbocks and stuff like that. That could be very cool for them going forward. But anyway, I think that kind of sums up the tasting part of the video. So let's just round off with the mouthfeel then. I'd say, you know, it's a light-bodied beer, pushing towards maybe the kind of top end of light-bodied though. It's got a wee bit of oiliness and slickness to it, this beer, which I think works really nicely. The carbonation does give you a wee bit of crispness on it. The malty side of the beer, one or two little grainy elements underneath, a lovely smoothness to it, and then a touch of sweetness the further you go into the aftertaste. So yeah, the malt base is really nicely balanced in this one, and the hoppy side of the beer, I would say we're talking about 20 IBUs in this one. You know, I think it's, again, that's fairly standard for for a Helles lager beer. They're definitely not going to blow the head off you in terms of bitterness. But the fruity side of the beer, I'd say, comes across as being a little bit more oily. There's a wee bit of zestiness in there as well. And yeah, I think it just goes together really nicely, actually. So big thumbs up to both Omnipollo and Camba Bavaria for this one. They've pulled off a solid beer here, in my opinion. So yeah, I think we can leave it at that for this review. Yeah, so this one was Der Schwedische Lehrling, the Swedish Apprentice, 5.2% Helles lager beer. This one brewed at Camba Bavaria in Seeon-Seebruck, near the Chiemsee in southeastern Bavaria, Bayern, Germany, in collaboration with Omnipollo from Stockholm here in Sweden. So yeah, lovely beer, this one. Have a go at it for yourself. Very authentic Munich Helles lager. If you like this style and you're looking for something authentic, this one will tick all the boxes for you, at least in my opinion. But yeah, once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are, both from Camba and from Omnipollo. And if you are watching in Germany, do please let me know some good web shops that I can use that will deliver to Sweden. Actually, I'd love to get a few more German beers on the channel over the next little while. But yeah, thank you again for watching. Check out my social media, check out both of these breweries, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. A lovely Munich lager, this one. Slange, skull, cheers, and prost.